Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Tune to madness, dial the rage. The world's a jungle, stage by stage. Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Monkey Radio. Twist the dial and lose control. There was a farmer who had a dog, and Bingo was his name. And for years, he and the dog would go out in the field and work together. He'd be plowing, got the plow behind the ox, plowing the field, and the dog's just jumping around, barking around, running around, having fun. He's raising the crops, planting corn or whatever. For some reason, I think this is taking place in 17th century England. So, and then one day, after years of traveling with his best friend, his dog, always sleeping in the corner of his room and so on, so forth. And then one day he runs across a bear. Wait, if it's 17th century England, are there bears in England? Why is that thought in my head? So for argument's sake, let's say there's, it's foxes, like a family of foxes. Runs across a family of foxes, and the dog immediately goes after the foxes. And the foxes end up fighting Bingo, right? And so the farmer, he's trying to get his shotgun out. It's a breech loader, so he's trying to get two rounds, and there's two foxes fighting the dog. He's shouting, Bingo! Bingo! Because Bingo's losing to two foxes, you know what I mean? He gets the shotgun, comes running over, and they're tearing poor Bingo apart. And the farmer's just losing his mind. He's about to cry, and he just takes the shotgun, pow, pow! Takes out the foxes, but it's too late for poor Bingo. And the farmer has to bury his beloved pet, his friend, who protected his life from foxes. He buries it and goes back home. Tells his wife and kids Bingo was eaten by foxes. And the farmer's just not the same after that, after losing his best friend Bingo. He's just not the same. In the middle of the night, he'll scream out, Bingo! And his wife holding him, and the kids come down, Mommy, what's going on? And it's like, your father just had another bad dream. Is it about Bingo? Yes, sweetie, it's about Bingo. And so the farmer just has to go back out to work every single day. That's what the farmer has to do. Without Bingo, and every now and then he screams, Bingo! In his sleep. And the mother and the kids are all also traumatized by losing their friend, and so the mother comes up with a little song. There was a farmer who had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh. And it had clapping. It taught them how to spell, how to read. They took this traumatic experience and turned it into a song. And many years later, when the kids had gone off to live their own lives, and the farmer was getting old, and eventually his son took over running the farm mostly, but the farmer couldn't stop working. They never got another dog. Bingo was too much. Losing Bingo was too much. But the farmer's wife, she ended up working as a school teacher because she loves children so much. And so she ends up teaching all these kids this song, helping them learn how to spell, turning the trauma of the farmer into something good that helps educate children, teach them how to spell and so forth. And then it gets taken over by a crappy lottery game that's played in bingo halls all over this great country, all over this world, really. And that's the bastardized story of Bingo the dog and where it ends up. Couldn't you pick some other 5-letter word than this poor farmer's dog? Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the Cash App tag Shock Monkey Radio, all one word, and you can follow me on social media up there on top. Did I bum you out with that story? Yeah, I don't know what it is. Can you bring me a picture of my dog? I don't know why I keep thinking about this, about one day he's going to die. I don't know why I keep thinking about it for some reason. I think it's just because it's on the list. It's on my itinerary. And when you love things and they die, that's probably the most horrible thing. ever. And I'm sure we all can relate into something even bigger than a dog. I know it's just a dog, but people too. You lose people. Kind of wants to shut you off. You don't want to bother loving anything because you're going to end up burying it. Anyway, I love the little shit, but I'm going to have to bury him. All right, I'm bummed out. I'm officially bummed out. You can take Dash away. We actually been keeping up on his trimming. He's always neatly, what's that called? Trimmed, I guess. Anyway, you like my background? People are like, man, you're always going off on horses. What about giraffes? They're kind of like horses. Like, you are exactly right. Giraffes are very much like horses. And Africa is probably the most terrifying continent, Southeast Asia being the second most, because of all the dangerous creatures. Excuse me, all over Africa. Not only giraffes, but you got hippos, you got rhinos, you got elephants. You got some of the scariest creatures ever made on this planet are in Africa. And I hear it's hot. And so when it comes to like the evolution that took place on Africa with all these animals, it's like because there's rhinos and because there's hippos, you got to have these giant long-legged horses with horns. You hear what I'm saying? Long-legged horses with horns. All right, because they're tall enough to eat the vegetation, but they also live in friggin' Africa, so they have horns that they whip their necks at their, anyone, a predator or something like that. They bop each other in the head with their horns all the time. So absolutely, giraffes are just as evil as horses. Absolutely, and that's what I mean. It's like the crazy evolution that happened on that continent. It's kind of like if you like Australia, like the Australian funnel-head spider, and the kind of creatures that you'll find in Australia. It's because it's like such a kind of, I don't know, isolated place that it evolved differently there, like in Tasmania and Australia and so forth, New Zealand. And so you had a different evolution there. But in Africa, it was so crazy because there's so many massive beasts that, you end up with these giant horses with horns in their heads. Seriously, they're like somewhere between horse and unicorn in terms of how scary they are. They're almost mythical, but they do exist. I've seen one. One put its head in my car when I was a kid. People are always like, what did the horses do to you? It's not like that. It's not like the giraffes freaked me out in the car. He did freak me out, but it's not what the whole horse thing is. That giraffe freaked me out at, like, was it Park Safari in Canada? You drive through the park and the giraffe sticks his head in there and give me food. Like, what's wrong with your tongue? It's just so disgusting. That just pisses me off about giraffes. It was later in life where I started to realize, there's similarities between these creatures and they're all evil. Giraffes. I come up maybe to the stomach. Their butthole is taller than me. And that's terrifying. I remember I saw a video once of a guy scrubbing down an elephant in a zoo or something like that, and the elephant took 2 steps back and his head went straight into the elephant's butt, That's nightmare fuel right there. I think I saw that on The Daily Show back in the early aughts, maybe. Anyway. Interesting, huh? Giraffes. So I was watching a body cam video. It's interesting because, like, a lot of the body cam videos, most of the great ones are, somebody get arrested, they're stupid, or they're sovereign citizens, stuff like that. Those are all great, but then you get ones that it's like a train derailment, or this one I watched in particular that made me think about wanting to talk about this subject is tornadoes coming through. And I was watching this video that take place in Kentucky, and it was done by Midwest Safety. If you know body cam channels at all, Midwest Safety is probably one of the best. And so, and they had to stitch together like tons and tons of dark, confusing body cam footage to do the story. It's a fantastic editing job. I don't envy that job. It's like getting all those clips together, and whew, that's daunting to say the least, considering what I can do. So I was watching this and I was just, houses are gone, electricity's off, It's raining. It's windy. They got reports of another one coming through any second because, you know, Tornado Alley, you know. There's places in this country where it's just like, it's very, very common. And then, you know, the cops be coming up. There was a house here. It's not here anymore. I thought I heard someone screaming for help in there. I wasn't sure. And then they go check it. I mean, it's, you know, hundreds of people missing, you know, dozens dead. You know what I mean? It's just, maybe it's the wrong word, but it's awesome. The power of nature is awesome. And I've lived on the East Coast most of my life, so I've seen a couple hurricanes come through, and here, it's going to be here? Yeah, I'm going to wait right here for it. And it's like, no, I got the hell out, you know. It's like, that was once when I was in Georgia. I think once when I was in New York, one came through. And there was one when I was in the Navy. We had to do a hurricane. It was a sortie. It wasn't a sortie. It was an Hurricane X-Fill. I don't know. We went out and around. But I mean, there were heavy seas. I was embarked on the USS Enterprise, and it was empty, and the ship was going like this. And excuse me, those sailors that have served on aircraft carriers for too long, they're sick as hell. I was okay because I was already serving on a flat bottom ship. Anyway, so I was used to heavier rolls. Yeah, so I mean, when the power of these things, you know, not just tornadoes or hurricanes, I'm talking about like mudslides and earthquakes. You know, I remember I was thinking about the last earthquake that happened here, the one that happened over in Mineral. I remember the day that came through. It sounded like a C-130 was flying about 100 feet over my house. I was like, what the hell is going on? And you know, it cracked a bit of the foundation of the house. I mean, and there was a lot of damage from that earthquake in Mineral. And this is a part of the world, like the Appalachian Mountains is probably the oldest mountain range in the world, or one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. So it's very unlikely we're going to have much seismic activity over here on the East Coast, but it does happen. But when you're talking about a place with a high, you know, seismic activity, like, you know, the West Coast and so forth, you know, that stuff is very common. People die from earthquakes and stuff like that. Wasn't it like the big San Francisco fire was started by an earthquake or something? Or was that the Chicago fire with the cow? I think it was San Francisco. It was like started by an earthquake. And so I think there's a lot of stuff that's in my head that I'm not certain about. So if I throw something out and you're just like, you can go ahead and fact check me, put it in the comments. Maybe I'll read them. Anyway, so I mean, when you talk about like the mudslides and stuff like that, especially in like third world nations where, you know, say engineering isn't as good or advanced. And so you'll get like higher casualty ratings, you know, or numbers, I should say, in those kind of places. And obviously we all try to help each other. And that's what's great about watching that body cam video is like, I know those people over there, are they okay? Or the cop will come up to this one person. It's like, yeah, we checked these 3 houses. These 2 people seem to be gone. We checked on the old lady that's in this house. She's got a cut on her head. We need to get somebody. And it's like, people were helping each other, you know, and that's what it's like, what our world should be like in natural disaster. But even during that body cam video, they got a report of a guy who is like looting already. And it's like, holy cow, dude. It's like, so a couple cops had to go deal with him. And so it's you know, that's just the nature of the world we live in, I suppose. But in general, people were helping each other. And I think that's a great thing. But when I see something like that, the whole idea that like these environmentalists say is like, oh, we're going to destroy this planet. You know, we're polluting it so much it's going to destroy us. No, we are not. It is arrogant to think we can destroy this planet. You watch a couple hurricanes come through a small town in Kentucky, you know, couple of earthquakes in San Francisco, and there's no humans or to maintain the infrastructure. It'll all fall down in a few years. If, boom, all humans just disappeared from the earth, world peace. If all humans disappeared from the earth, it would be about a decade before the planet takes back over again. You know, you remember the ozone layer? People are all concerned about that, and it's fine. All right? It's absolutely fine. You know, the climate does change. All right? It does. All right? It's just, it's not our fault. This is a crazy wobbling orb of water and earth hurtling through the universe in an orbit around a star, and lucky enough to be close enough to it to have liquid water. That's all. I was talking with somebody about time, measuring time. It's like, you know, it's so crazy how we have to measure time, and it's all based upon this rotation and this random spinning of this planet. It's like, why we got to add a day every 4 years? It's like, because the universe doesn't fit into our number scheme for some reason. It makes me think that maybe all our math is wrong. Anyway, enough ranting about that. Let's do the coin of the week. All right, this is a 1981 Putt-Putt coin. That's not a real coin, madman. It says no cash value, clearly on it. It's like, yeah. And I remember in 1981, it was probably more like 1983 or something like that. It was minted in 81, obviously. But it was probably like 83, 84 when I got this. It was probably one of the first coins I ever collected. And obviously as a kid, I had, you know, plenty of money come through, you know, that were coins. And back in the 80s, you know, yeah, a quarter was a lot of money. And so I would spend it. It was a tool. But this was something that was only a tool when you're at a putt-putt thing. If you wanted to play a video game, so, you know, you put $1 in the machine, it spits out like, I don't know, 4 to 6 of these tokens, and you can go play video games. It's not a real coin, madman. Well, I say that coin is 50% lucky, and so I'm calling no bullshit to no cash value because it won me $20. No cash value, my ass. All right. And so here's the idea about a coin like this. And every coin that we talk about. It's like, oh, this is just a brass little pressing, man. It's worthless. Like I said, I already won on it. It already made me money. All right. Granted, it took almost 50 years. But finally, I made some money off of it. So the no cash value thing comes right off. All right. But what these things are, like I said, it's one of the very first coins I ever collected. It's a window to a place and time. In space and time, which is basically the same thing. And just like every other foreign coin that I bring on here, or any other more valuable coin I bring on here, it's a window to that place in space-time. All right? And this takes me back to playing mini golf, putt-putt, when I was a kid. And that's what it takes me to. It takes me to that day. I remember nothing of it, but I have the coin. I was young, and I drink a lot. I forget a lot of things. All right, so this is an 81 Putt-Putt coin. Brass or brass-colored amusement arcade token issued by Putt-Putt Golf and Games, a U.S. franchise of miniature golf and family entertainment centers. It's not a circulating or legal tender coin. That's what they mean by no cash value. The obverse side, also known as the head sides, is a Putt-Putt with a restricted trademark, or whatever that is. It's a restricted trademark. Year 1981, the center golf and games curved along the bottom, a ring of dots near the top, and a beaded dentilled ridge. Oh, interesting. The reverse side, or tails, is Putt-Putt, also with restricted. No cash value in the center, decorative flourishes, which I like. Golf and games along the bottom, and a similar rim. Typical specs for these are roughly 20 to 22.5 millimeters in diameter, 4.4 to 5 grams. Milled, struck, plain edge, metal alignment. That's top on both sides is the same. Composition is generally brass or bronze toned. Similar tokens exist for 81 to 82 and undated versions, plus Putt-Putt Plus varieties. Year matches the non-plus. You wealth shaming me? Hey, my parents taught me frugality. We don't have to go to the Putt-Putt Plus. Costs more. 1981 Golf and Games type documented in token catalogs and collector sites. People collect these. All right, purpose and background. These tokens were used in arcade and game machines, video game rooms, pinball, skee ball. At Putt-Putt locations during the early 80s arcade boom. No cash value marking is standard for amusement tokens, and they could not be redeemed for money. Putt-Putt was founded in 1954 in Fayetteville, North Carolina by Don Clanton as a standardized skill-based miniature golf franchise, par 2 holes with consistent surfaces and rails, designed so skilled players to get hole-in-ones. It expanded nationwide and internationally through franchising. By the 1980s, many sites had added arcades and other attractions, later evolving to broader fun centers with go-karts, batting cages, and more. Corporate roots remain tied to North Carolina. Collectability and value. These are relatively common among arcade and token collectors and nostalgia pieces from the 80s. Numista rarity index is around 65, moderately common among members who collect them. Individual circulated examples typically sell for a few dollars, often the $1 to $8 range, depending on secondary markets like eBay, depending on collection and seller. No cash value, my ass. I knew it was a lie, even as a kid. I was like, this is brass. Brass is worth something. It costs money to make the damn thing. Higher prices may appear for jewelry conventions, earrings, or what? If people make earrings out of it? No intrinsic precious metal value. In short, it's a classic piece from the 1980s, American family entertainment ephemera from the Putt-Putt franchise, nostalgic rather than rare or valuable as currency. I wonder if AI knows I understand what a word like ephemera means. Because, I mean, a lot of people are dumb. They don't even know what that means. Quote of the week! I better not flip it. It'll end up in my water again. All right, let's do a movie review. So, if you want a fun, if you're a nerd, I'll preface it, if you're a nerd, a gamer nerd, and you want to have a really fun time watching a movie, Max Reload in the Nether Blasters, a 2020 film. All right, it's a crowdfunded like nerd flick, and so imagine you have like the coolest gamer friends ever. All right, where they're all clever, they're kind, they're quick-witted, and you know you're always busting each other's balls. Some of them have inflated egos, and you're always in the gaming group with them, and they got quips and quips and quips, and you're laughing your head off, having a blast playing video games with these people. This is the cast of characters. It's some of the funniest people. They're kind, they're nice, maybe a little egotistical, maybe a little funky and crazy, but it's a cool group of friends I wouldn't mind hanging out with. And so I always like a movie like that where you're just like, oh, I like these characters. All right. So there's transitions in this movie which are like done like 8-bit or 16-bit transitions where it's like, okay, I'm getting on my bike and I'm going to go to the store. And so it goes to this 8-bit transition where it sets up the next scene. And I was like, that was a really cool feature. And it was probably dirt cheap. You know what I mean? To do that. So, yeah, great 8-bit like scene transitions. There's lots of cool retro gaming stuff if you have the eye for it. If you know, if you've been gaming as long as I have, they had a ColecoVision. There's a big ColecoVision reference because they're talking about this game. That is, it was the last game. It was never released by this company called Wild Child Games on the ColecoVision, and they come across a copy of it, and a guy does a playthrough, and on a ColecoVision, it does a playthrough of the game and uploads it to the internet. And then he's like, oh, I can port this onto the internet and send the code out, and so everyone could play this game. And so, and if you ask me, that's one of the funniest scenes if you're like a tech nerd at all, because he's just like, I could just port this ColecoVision game out to my computer. Here, I'll take this cord from a ColecoVision and plug it into my computer, which is apparently already has a port from a ColecoVision. So he ports it out and sends it out over the internet, and it opens up with this, people start being possessed by the game, and they got to fight them. They're Nether Blasters. It's called the Nether, these demon monsters. And it's a really cool premise for a story. Ancient evil unleashed through an old video game. And the idea behind it is like they're trickster demons who always played games versus humans throughout the centuries. Very nerdy concept, very cool, because gaming goes back a very long way. And so it's like this demon that tries to capture Earth and capture human souls through games. Cool story. Very cool story. I bet Kevin Smith signed on board of this. It was like free of charge. I want to be this character because these lines are fantastic. These are the best lines in the script, and I want to be the one to say them. Okay. Also, that dude from Heroes, he was fantastic in it. I mean, he's actually a good actor, and because he could play a nerd, it makes me wonder if he really is a nerd. I don't know. Is it that hard to pretend to be a nerd? I don't think so. The girl is incredibly cute and has a horrible taste in men. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of, like, I don't want to give away too much of the plot because, you know, like it takes, like they fight them with like pure light, white light. And so they, oh right, there's the one scene where they have to make weapons to fight these things. And so they get like the old Nintendo Zapper, they get the Max Power Glove or whatever, they get the, what was that thing, on the bazooka from the Super Nintendo, and they rig them all so they could shoot it. What'd you say? Super Scope 6, right. And they rig them up so they could shoot the nethers with them. And that, if you're a nerdy gamer guy, that's cool as hell. You know what I mean? And it's funny because they're talking about programming too. There's programming talk, and it's kind of if you know anything about programming, if you know about any tech stuff, you should probably just forget about that for the duration of this movie because you're like, that's not how that works at all. And so that's kind of interesting. So I'm kind of iffy on the star rating on this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and say it's 11 of 13 stars, max reload and the nether blasters. However, it's kind of niche. Not many people are not gamers. Certainly not to the level where they would understand like half of the jokes, half of the references, you know. And I had a question. Do you think Leroy Jenkins is copyrighted? Because he kept saying Max Jenkins every time he did a Leroy Jenkins, you know? Makes me wonder. It's like, we're not going to pay for the rights of that. It's a Kickstarter movie, which turned out to be pretty good. Pretty good B movie. So, I mean, it could alienate like casual gamers or even like people who are not gamers at all. I don't think they're going to enjoy it too much. So it could be off by about 9 to 11 stars. So it could be about 9 to 11. However, because I am a nerd and because I am a gamer and I love this movie, I'm sorry. It's like with dialogue, like it's a haptic feedback suit. Whatever, everything that happens in the game, you feel it. If you feel self-doubt in the game, you'll feel it haptically. You'll feel haptic self-doubt. I don't think haptically is a word. You'll feel haptic self-doubt, which is a very clever thing to write. It's like haptic self-doubt is terrifying. Please, I'll pass on the haptic self-doubt. Anyway, I think you might like it if you're nerdy enough. Let's get into the news worth knowing. Excusez-moi. Yeah, Tim Curry died today. RIP. We were talking about him last week, weren't we? You better wise up, Jenna Wise. He was like very talented as an actor. Not American though, but fantastic. I mean, everything from like Home Alone 2 to Rocky Horror Picture Show to Legend. How many movies can you think of Tim Curry in where he wasn't excellent? Clue. Anyway, rip to Tim Curry. But the bigger loss, I think, is Dolly Parton. A true American legend. I remember it was like back in like the 70s and 80s, like there are people who say like Dolly Parton, she kind of looks trashy and stuff like that. Or cheap. Yeah, that's right. I was watching an interview of hers where she's like, it's like, what would you say to, the interviewer's asking her, what would you say to people who say you look cheap? And she said something like, you'd be surprised how expensive it is to look this cheap, you know, in her southern accent. And she was a real charmer. She was good with fantastic singer, fantastic musician, good at acting, and just incredibly charming with the media. Wasn't she married to one man her whole life? Skinny legs and fantastic knockers. Beautiful face, a voice like an angel. Like, okay, she looked a little fake, especially towards the end. I get it. But she was a true American legend and a role model for all women, if you ask me. People used to think she was cheap, trashy, but turns out she's a real class act, you know, in America. I'd have to say my favorite Dolly Parton song is 9 to 5. And the only reason I would say 9 to 5, because I know like Jolene is a much better song. I know that I Will Always Love You is a much better song. But 9 to 5 is my favorite Dolly Parton song because it's happier. Country music, especially in Dolly Parton's era, was always so sad. It's like, why are y'all so sad? Is it because every single one of you has a family member that was killed or maimed by a horse and nobody's talking about it? Leave it to me to turn the death of Dolly Parton into an indictment on horses. All right, let's go to the first news story. Yeah, rest in peace, Dolly Parton. Her legend will definitely live on. All right, so Meta settles federal trial over claims Facebook and Instagram addict children. Duh. Deal averts trial where Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg could have been called to testify. I don't think I'll ever understand that. Meta has agreed to pay as much as $17.1 billion and implement restrictions on teen accounts to settle claims that the giant tech designed Facebook and Instagram to addict children and misled the public about the platform's safety. Who does that money go to, though? The deal, disclosed in court papers on Wednesday, resolves claims brought by 29 states, I guess to the states, and averts one of the highest profile tests yet of allegations that social media companies have harmed young users. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, excuse me, this webpage is jumping all over the place. He could have been called to testify before the settlement happened. That's what I mean. I don't understand. It's like sometimes when they say we're not going to call them to testify because it's, I don't know, it'd be bad for our case. It's like, you got to explain that to me somehow. I don't get it. Anyway, the states accused Meta of violating consumer protection laws and improperly collecting children's personal data without parental consent. Meta has denied the allegations and said it worked to protect children on its platforms. Meta will pay at least $12.1 billion over 10 years under the agreement, according to D.C. Attorney General's office. The company could be required to pay another $5 billion, bringing the settlement to $17.1 billion. If other major social media companies agree on to adopt comparable child safety measures. Meta said Wednesday that the agreement builds on its existing efforts to protect teens and give parents more control over children's use of its platforms. Quote, ensuring teens have a safe and productive experience on our platforms is an absolute imperative for Meta, the company said. We want to get this right for parents and teens, and that's why we partnered with state attorneys general to set a new industry standard. Under the settlement, Meta agreed to impose strict daily time limits for young users, block access to its apps during certain nighttime hours, mute notifications during school hours, and introduce additional parental controls. Okay, that's all we really need to read of that, right? So, I really don't think, I think that social media is, it's not even safe for adults, some adults, because, if you're stupid and easily deceived, which many children are, you can start thinking the wrong things. You can start going down the wrong rabbit holes, and you stop thinking objectively. And I think social media is dangerous. I think social media has done horrible things to our society in many ways. I think social media has driven women insane. I'll come back around to that. I think that kids are not really learning how to read, certainly not reading for comprehension. They have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds. You know, I put out a 3-minute video in Reels, and it has to be like max is 3 minutes. I put out a 3-minute video in Reels. People watch 10 seconds of it. It's not, my stuff isn't that bad. It's your attention span is you didn't make me laugh in the first 10 seconds. It's like, why? Why do you have zero patience? So I think social media is bad for adults. I don't think that parents should be giving their kids, smartphones, access to that stuff. And if they do, it should be heavily regulated. heavily regulated. I think that when you're a kid, you need to be reading books and stuff like that. That way you can build a long attention span. That way when you're an adult and you can finally get a smartphone, then you can deal with all the insanity that's going on in social media without being taken to, sucked in by it. I remember even when the internet first started up and I was going to bulletin boards and Usenet and chatting with people there. You read some crazy shit on there, and you start spinning your mind up, thinking about maybe Abraham Lincoln was abducted and taken to the future. The kind of nonsense you can believe if that's what's in your head. When I was younger, I would fall for that kind of nonsense, and would take up headspace. And you don't want that. You don't want nonsense taking up your headspace, unless you're good at harnessing the nonsense and putting it into a writing form. Anyway, that's a more complicated subject. Yeah, so I don't think kids under 18 should be on social media at all. I think a lot of adults don't need to be on social media. You got to be, I'm serious. There's some things it's like voting, smoking weed, and social media. I think you have to take an IQ test and get above 120 before you're allowed to do that. And the reason why the weed thing is because you get plenty of people with 80 IQ. They smoke weed, and all of a sudden they're below 60. You can't. Their IQ's so low when they're high that you can't execute them. I'm sorry, that's mean. All right, so alarming photo of Caitlin Clark's arm shows the beating she takes during WNBA catfights. This is from Outkick, obviously. You can tell it's Outkick because of the paragraph headline it has. Clark went 8 for 12. 8 of 12, or is it 8 for 12? 8 of 12 from beyond the arc in Indiana Fever's win over Chicago Sky earlier this week. So she's a three-point shooter, huh? All right, so, because I didn't catch the games. Lost in all the other nonsense in Indiana's win over Chicago earlier this week was Caitlin Clark. Once again, showing the WNBA she is easily the best player in the league. She finished with 37 points and 10 assists in the win, going 8 of 12 from beyond the arc and adding 3 rebounds. She was incredible and, frankly, an MVP, even though the WNBA would never, ever allow that to actually happen. I wrote about it Monday, and I'll say it again here. The Sophie Cunningham drama and the ensuing nonsense has overtaken Clark in a way. She has been playing second fiddle to Sophie and the mean WNBA girls for a few months now, which I'm sure she's fine with. Yeah, God bless her cotton socks. She's got guts going out there every night. But when the bright lights come on and the games begin, Caitlin Clark is still the best player by a mile. She also takes the absolute beating on the court, which we have seen this season. She gets scratched, clawed, mugged, and sometimes choked whenever she touches the court. Usually it's all without a whistle. Now we have photo evidence. Take a look. So I guess Jason Sudeikis was in one of these games. I hope he brought his daughter there. And he took a picture with Caitlin Clark. And you can see her on her arm, a bunch of scratches on her left arm. And people have been pointing it out. So, Lordy, what a picture. Look at those claw marks. Ted Lasso would be appalled. Outkick. Look, it's basketball. I get it. I'm not here trying to sound soft or whiny. Sports are violent and they're physical, and I imagine the 80s and 90s Bulls and Pistons looked a lot like this after games. I assume a lot of players who went up against the Pistons back then did. I get it. But add in some fingernails and you get the context of the entire season, specifically when it comes to Caitlin Clark, and it does make you raise an eyebrow. She was mugged earlier this summer by Alyssa Thomas. Her and Paige Buchers, hope I got that right, got into it last week. Before she was known for protecting women's sports, Sophie Cunningham was known as Clark's enforcer after sticking up for her last summer when things got out of hand against the Sun. So yes, she has a narrative. This has been a narrative following Caitlin Clark for years now. These girls just do not like Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham. Charles Barkley told the Michael Smirkonish program earlier this week. It's hard to argue. It was hard to argue that before. It's really hard now. So a bunch of pictures of her. I didn't grab one. Sorry. It just really, is it a news article or what, man? I know it's Outkick, but it's just a series of other people's tweets where they're retweeting the same things. Like, look at her arm. That's not journalism. That's not journalism. And so when it comes to racism in America, I think this is the true form of racism takes in America. Because, I mean, it's almost an old trope now. It's like, just imagine if the races were reversed. You know, a bunch of white players beating up on one a black female. Oh, it's racist. And they hate her. Why? Because they're women. They all hate each other. And she's clearly the best, and so everyone's jealous. Women are always more jealous than men. You know, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, they probably look at each other with respect. It's like, man, respect. But women, they're like, I hate you, Michael Jordan. I'm going to claw you on the court. People are like, oh, yeah, if women ran the world, it'd be peaceful. It's like, you kidding me? If women ran the world, it'd be peaceful? Like, allied nations. Do you know what the prime minister, imagine the president gets on the screen and is like, did you hear what the prime minister of England said about me? We're going to nuke the shit out of England. Seriously. All right, let's go to this next story. Yeah, when I say social media has warped the minds of women, this is the story I'm talking about. All right, so prosecutor in infamous killer mom case says women on Lindsay Clancy jury may bring strange twist to the verdict. Representative Tommy Pope, Susan Smith prosecutor, says mothers who overcame postpartum depression could hold Clancy to a higher standard. South Carolina lawmaker who prosecuted Susan Smith in her infamous double murder case, says the women on Lindsay Clancy's jury could prove to be a strange twist and could be less sympathetic to her than many assume. Clancy, 36, has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the deaths of her children, Cora, Dawson, Kaylin, all younger than 6, who were discovered strangled in the family home in January of 2023. Her defense attorney says she is experiencing postpartum psychosis at the time she killed her children. That last part, she killed her children. That's all that's really relevant. Testimony is expected to finish on Wednesday with closing arguments anticipated for Thursday, after which the case will go to the jury. A panel seated for the trial is made up of 12 women and 6 men, but only 12 of them will deliberate. The rest will serve as alternates and will be dismissed before deliberations begin. Smith is the South Carolina mother who was convicted of killing her 2 young sons, 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alexander, by strapping them into her car and letting it roll into a lake. Prosecutors argue she killed them in part because the man she was romantically involved with didn't want a relationship with a woman who had kids. Cheapers, creepers. She was sentenced to life in prison. Representative Tommy Pope, who is currently the Speaker pro tempore for the South Carolina House of Representatives, prosecuted Smith and Fox News Digital prosecuted Smith and told Fox News Digital that women on the jury might be less sympathetic to Clancy than people think. Quote, for the most part, the women were the ones that said, you know, when I had my kids, I went through hell, I went through depression, or I battled this, or I was overwhelmed. But they are the most important thing in my life, Pope said. And so, strange twist, while women may have even faced postpartum depression, they may have overcome it and be less sympathetic to Clancy. On the flip side, Pope said that Clancy's current physical condition might complicate things for the prosecution. It's a weird mix, too, he said, as having her in the courtroom, whether or not she intentionally injured herself or not, or as the prosecution said, tried to slide down and just got injured. You have somebody who is now paralyzed, which obviously doesn't equate to killing 3 children. Well, that she killed the 3 children before she paralyzed herself. But some jurors, I would think be even more so men, will think, well, she's already punished. She's in a wheelchair, so it's a strange twist. Could almost be the opposite. Yeah. I don't care that she's in a wheelchair now. I don't think that that's enough of a punishment. So, and it really bothers me, all the women who support. This is what I mean about social media has made chicks lose their minds. It could have been the birth control pill where it all began, but the way that they support her and even come up with these wacky theories that her husband like framed her or some shit like that. it really terrifies me when it comes to women in this world today. It's like zero accountability. It's tribal. It's tribal. It's like she's a woman. I'm a woman. I experienced postpartum depression. She experienced postpartum depression. I would never kill my kids, but sometimes I thought I could. It's like you're kind of saying that you're a psychopath, that you might snap any minute and kill children. All right. Additionally, you got a lot of these women who support Lindsay Clancy. They probably had a bunch of abortions. All right. And like anybody who kills their children, you probably feel something about that. Even if you believe it was your right and it was the right thing to do for your life and so forth, you probably feel some level of guilt about that. And women generally don't want to face that. They don't want to face accountability. And so when they see something like this, it's like, well, it's just like abortion, really. It's not like they're 18. You can abort them until they're up to 18. And all of a sudden, that old joke my mom used to, everyone's mom used to say, I brought you into this world, I could take you out. It's all of a sudden, it's a very legitimate threat. Actually, it's been a legitimate threat for a long time. Your mom goes out, sleeps with whoever she wants, she gets pregnant, and she's like, oh, well, I brought you into this world. I'm going to have to take you out. And it's been like that. And so now, you got women supporting a triple murderer. I don't care if she's paralyzed. She killed 3 kids, her own children. Anyway, that's why women shouldn't be on the jury. Next story. All right. Easing out of the show with the lighter stories. Florida Chamber CEO, companies eye Sunshine State from all over the country after viral Mamdani billboard. Web traffic to the free enterprise campaign spiked 500 to 600% as companies from New York, California, Washington, and Illinois. Just 2 weeks after Florida Chamber of Commerce launched a viral Times Square ad crowning New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani as Florida's, quote, economic developer of the year. Corporate decision makers are answering the call. An exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, Florida Chamber President and CEO Mark Wilson said inquiries from executives in blue states, including a Rochester technology firm looking to escape New York's tax burden for the land of opportunity, are pouring in as companies look to leave progressive governance. The quote, this immediately went national. Wilson said, we had people literally texting us saying, hey, I'm seeing this. This is amazing. Our country needs to have this discussion. Of course, about free enterprise versus socialism. He went on to say the response has been from all over the country. We have companies from Washington, California, Illinois, and of course, New York. This has really been a national reaction. Got it. He added, we have former governors and state senators in other states. We've had members of Congress who saw this contact us and say, okay, this is a conversation our country needs to have. After the billboard went live at the corner of Broadway and West 43rd Street, web traffic to the Chamber's free enterprise campaign spiked 500 to 600%, according to Wilson. He said inquiries from businesses, site selectors, and public officials come at a rate of 5 to 7 contracts per day, extending beyond New York. Quote, I received a call from a company in Rochester, technology company in Rochester, New York, who's very interested in getting out of New York and actually moving here to what they call the land of opportunity. They call it the land of opportunity. A City Hall spokesperson told Fox News Digital in response to the ad that by any metric, New York's economy under Mayor Mamdani is as strong as it's ever been. It said the working class New Yorkers are benefiting. Wilson disputed that assessment, citing fiscal pressures and tax structures that he argued disproportionately strain middle-aged and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so this is hilarious, obviously. It's probably, when you buy an ad, sometimes you're like, man, I hope it actually, the money we spent actually earns us money. You're like, yes, that's an effective ad. And, but not only that, it's just that that's what's great about our republic, is that you don't want to have total centralized government rule because of this. Because one state could lose its mind and start voting in socialists, and that particular state or city or whatever will start collapsing. And it'll collapse because people vote with their feet. The people and the businesses, they vote with their feet. They're like, we can't make it under the margins here because there's all these crazy friggin' taxes. We're going to get out of this state. We're going to go to Florida. You know? And a lot of the smarter companies have already done that. Like, what Daily Wire went to Tennessee and to Florida. Because it's better. The taxes are better. It's not run by socialists. You know what I mean? And that's the value of the republic, is that you don't have one guy saying, okay, we're all socialists now. And then all of a sudden we all have to transition to that. It's like, no, New York is going to go and like shoot itself in the foot, maybe bleed out. Who knows what's going to happen in New York? But Florida will survive. North Carolina will survive. Virginia will survive. As long as we don't lose our minds. Like these, like people in New York did. All right, because 2 happier stories, I guess, and we'll get out of here. I don't know how a pasta factory explosion could make somebody happy, but we'll figure it out. All right. Take it forever to load on. Pasta factory expansion leads to stunning discovery of 2006-year-old city of the dead. That's why. That sounds awesome. Burial chambers at the site contained Egyptian scarabs, Etruscan artifacts, and rarely preserved textiles. Wow. You know, textiles that survive that long? Wow. Pasta factory expansion. Oh, it's not explosion. It's expansion. Expansion in Italy took an unexpected turn when archaeologists uncovered a 2,600-year-old city of the dead filled with ancient tombs and rare treasures. The necropolis was found at the Pasta Garofalo factory in Gragnano, a town near Naples, according to a news release issued by the company. I hope I'm not pissing off any Italians out there. It's Gragnano. The excavation was conducted between 2025 and 2026 ahead of an expansion of the Pasta Garofalo's production facility. The findings recently announced by the company in July. The site, which dates to the first half of the 6th century BC, was built during the archaic period of Mediterranean history, centuries before the rise of the Roman Empire. Pictures from the excavation show rows of stone burial chambers at the site, along with human remains, pottery, and other artifacts. Several burial chambers contained rarely preserved materials, including textiles, wooden objects, woven baskets. Wow. Which officials say deepened understanding of funerary practices, social organization, and everyday life during the archaic period. Officials also reported that the grave goods found at the site were remarkable and included Egyptian scarabs, animal-shaped amber ornaments, and silver and bronze artifacts of Etruscan origin. Wow. These exceptional finds testify the central role played by the ancient territory of Gargano within the Mediterranean trade networks, serving as a crossroads connecting Greek, Egyptian, and Etruscan worlds, statement read. The discovery held special significance for Pasta Garofalo, the company said, given its century-old ties to Gragnano and its pasta-making tradition. Pasta Garofalo, quote, has celebrated the deep bond between pasta and the town of Gragnano, and this relationship has been further enriched by an extraordinary new chapter, according to the release. Massimo Mena, chief executive officer of Pasta Garofalo, said the discovery fills us with great pride and a profound sense of responsibility. He went on to say, our history is inseparably linked with Gragnano, a place that will safeguard a unique heritage of culture, tradition, and manufacturing expertise for centuries. We believe that doing business also means caring for the places where we operate, contributing to their knowledge and enhancement. Yeah, I got to respect that. Ongoing research, blah, blah, blah. Discovery follows another significant, okay, talking about something else. 2025, City of the Dead in Trentino, Italy. So, yeah, I think we covered that story. I think this stuff is interesting. I know archaeology, I guess there's a little Indiana Jones in me. And like the Etruscans, they were like the original people in like region of Italy, right? That's incredibly cool. And they already had contact with the Greeks and the Phoenicians probably, and the Egyptians. Not the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, but that's a long time ago, is what I mean. It's incredibly cool. And the fact that something like textiles didn't decay, amazing. All right, let's go to this weird Outkicked article with this horrible, when EK was doing it, he was angry. I think I'm rubbing off on him with these things, like with when a terrible headline, he would, ugh, this is terrible. So, serial defecator on the loose in Tulsa, last seen wearing a thong, mask with a hole cut out, and a shower cap. Is that the whole story? Is it the lead sentence and makes people move on? Is that what I mean about like people with having no attention spans? Just tell me the whole story in the headline. Like I said, Outkick articles, it looks like Fox and Outkick have kind of done a merging thing. And so I find the stories I want to talk about, but sometimes they're Outkick articles. So, up key doesn't work. Hold on. All right, so security camera footage shows a man in a thong, shower cap, and cut open mask exposing himself outside a shopping center. All right, you thought the lead paragraph, the title was awful? What the story is about is actually worse, believe it or not. And, you know, this kind of behavior, I think, is worse than writing a horrible article for Outkick or Fox News, all right? I know I may jump on people for their horrible headlines or the way they write and stuff like that, but as long as you're not running around in a mask, pooping in people's yards, you're doing okay. All right, Sean Joseph, take it easy. So police in Tulsa, Oklahoma need the public's help. They're looking for someone they've dubbed a serial defecator. A mostly naked man has been terrorizing local businesses and is on the loose despite the Tulsa Police Department's attempts to capture him. A business owner in a shopping center reported that a man wearing a thong, a cut-open mask, and a shower cap has taken a dump in a dog's waste bag and smeared it on the walls and doors of the business. This is like a fecal-philiac, right? Guy who's obsessed with poop. Police responded around 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning, reports Fox 23, but weren't able to find the serial defecator. They did, however, get a good look at the man thanks to security camera footage. He looks about as weird as you expect him to be. In the footage captured on the camera is the business owner put up. Police said the partially masked man exposed himself before dropping another deuce into a doggy bag. But he's not cleaning it up, I guess. Why the bags then? Anyway, the officers have responded to the area on multiple occasions, but have yet to track him down, the Tulsa Police Department wrote in a Facebook post. Please, if you know where we can find him, we'd love to relieve these business owners. They had like a social media person at the police department thought that up. How can we get a poop pun in here? Relief. We'll do relief. Tasteful. This guy has to be stopped. You can't have businesses worried about whether they're going to start their day with their walls or doors covered in poop. That's how a functioning society operates. As for his chosen attire, while hilarious, you don't want to get too close if you see him in his shower cap, mask with a hole, and a thong outfit. And I'd run if you hear the snap of a rubber glove and the crinkle of a doggy bag. Run, but call the police as you do. You don't want to give the serial defecator a chance to locate a phone booth and turn back into a normal member of society. The police have had no hard time catching him after all. Really, a Superman reference at the end? Yeah. We've done stories like this before. I remember there was this one where it was a jogger, where it was a female jogger. She was just taking a jog, and then all of a sudden she stopped in between like two cars in someone's driveway and dropped trowel and just, pinched a loaf. And I kind of empathize with her because having been a runner before myself, is like, yeah, sometimes you start running and your body starts getting warm and you're like, oh, we got some extra stuff we can get rid of. We don't need this anymore. Can we get rid of this right now? And you're like, no, I'm busy running. And they're like, we need to get rid of this right now. And you're just like, okay. And there's a spot between those two cars. Hopefully they don't have a ring camera. I say I empathize. I didn't say I support. You shouldn't do that. Shouldn't poop in people's driveways. And same with this guy. You shouldn't be. Why the bag baffles me because you want to put it on the business. Why don't you just go to the business and poop there? See, this is what I mean. It's like you can't help but thinking that there's some sort of obsession with poo going on with a guy like this. And if there is, then we should put him in jail. I think. Because if that's how you get your jollies, by rubbing poo on things, I don't know if you're right for this world. I don't want to kill you outright, but I don't think you belong around here. to keep belonging to jail, at the very least. This is going to be end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Follow me on social media, on X, or Twitter as I like to call it. DNALETSAW, that's the word wasteland spelled backwards. On Instagram, SLRobbins13 on Instagram. And Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.
The Madman loves you all from the